this is the kind of thing that I think brings around a wide range of reactions and opinions. I think there's room for all of them. I don't know, as a 49er fan, how you are feeling right now as far as how this affects football, how it affects organizational operations, how it affects you as a fan. If you sit down and watch a football game in a couple of weeks, does this make you feel icky or something like that? Look, there's room for all of this. So, I know that some of you are like, who gives a rip? What are we having for dinner tonight? That's all out there. I don't know. How'd this grab you today?
It didn't grab me in terms of, oh boy, I mean, the Niners, I'm going to bet the under on 9.5 wins now because the owner has found his way into trouble in East Ohio. So in terms of football, like, does this affect George Kittle being able to play in week 1 or Christian McCaffrey and his tightness and Nick Bosa and his ACL? Like all the football stuff, no, it doesn't affect it. Does it give me the ick, as you said? Yeah, of course. And it makes me just wonder about not only what actually took place with Jed York and what normally does take place with Jed York, but the organization and the fact that, now you have a second headline, and we'll put the Kyle Shanahan accident aside because it was an accident, and you and I differ on what may or may not have happened, and that's not even important here. This is now a thing where you've got your owner, your principal owner, who is in Ohio and making a horrific choice in 9:30 in the morning and getting caught, and now he's in an orange jumpsuit. Mm-hmm. And so the organization itself is national headline news for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yes.
It's embarrassing, and for me, the biggest takeaway is that this is a reputation changer. I don't know about you. As a sports fan, I think we are constantly, not just being asked to, but I think we constantly do compartmentalize. We do. We compartmentalize in all kinds of ways when we sit down on a Sunday and watch a football game. We can find it to be abhorrent that CTE just overruns the post-career for these football players. There are players all over the television set who have been involved in this, that, and the other in terms of morals. And we're able to find our way through that and enjoy it. And some people, in fact, work very hard to do that. A lot of people don't want to be confronted with anything. In fact, that is sports to them. Sports is where we can go to forget the other 6 days of the week and all the stuff that comes at us that we don't want to deal with or think about and all of that. So I do think there's constant compartmentalization, sensation,
yep.
As we watch this. So I think this is another one of those scenarios. But the owner, I mean, look, it's embarrassing and it's not good for any front-facing individual to be dealing with anything that's a reputation changer, which is why I do think that this sticks and has some sort of long-term impact, but not on the field. I don't think it has an impact on the football field. I just think it has an impact on the organization as a whole. Like, let's be real. Most people are never going to look at Jed York the same way again. This is the biggest headline he's ever dealt with.
Right. And so when you don't look at him the same way, maybe that is, colored by whatever choice he makes down the road because he is the CEO. And so if you get to a spot where he decides that he wants to move on from John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan, or maybe they want to leave, and so it's Jed York who has to be the person to say, yeah, we've decided not to renew the contracts of blah, blah, blah. You could look at him and say, well, yeah, like, why do I even respect you for your decision because you did this? And you think about him in the orange jumpsuit and you think about his mugshot. So it definitely colors your impression of him going forward. And I can't help but make the Larry Baer comp. And Larry Baer was not charged with a misdemeanor, but he was caught on tape wrestling a phone from his wife, and she tumbled to the ground. And she later said that, she had a foot injury and she lost her balance, and, whatever the aftermath was, Larry Baer's reputation now 10 years later has never been the same.
Not really, although I don't think people think or talk about it as much. It kind of lowered him within the organization. So, okay, that has had an effect. To me, that story, I mean, one of the number one messages I think we get bombarded with on this, when it comes to stuff that happens that's negative out in the world, boy, there is a difference when there's video and when there's not. Like, I hate that. Steve Kerr, famously, Jordan Poole gets punched. What's he ticked about? The fact that there's video and the fact that it got out. You know what I mean? Do you feel the same way about Joe Mixon as you did about Ray Rice? Ray Rice had video.
Yep.
Ray Rice had video, and you saw it. Ray Rice is not the only person who put hands on his spouse in the National Football League. It's never okay, but he became the poster for it because we saw it. And it was absolutely horribly breathtaking. Horrific. It's just an awful, awful look. And so, you know, the Larry Baer thing, yeah, that had video. This has a mugshot, which is a terrible embarrassment and look and all of those things. But I don't think it sticks in that way because you don't have to look at it. You didn't have to see the crime.
You didn't, but the fact that there's a mugshot, I think, is almost as powerful as the video. And, you know, I was watching the video earlier of Larry Baer just to make sure that I had the timeline accurate as far as, you know, what has happened since then. Because since Larry Baer basically ceded control of, you know, the ownership, the team has not been very good, and the Johnsons took the controlling interest, and you've had 5 years of losing, you had 2 years of dead 500, and you had the 1 year 107 wins. And so I do think that you can look at that incident back in March of, I guess it was 2017 or 2018, and when Larry Baer had to take that step back. And I'm not saying that Jed York will do the same thing, but the mugshot is, to me, almost as powerful as that video.
I know for a fact that it was 2019 because I had returned to my native Bay Area to take over the show surrounding Giants games on their flagship station right as that happened.
It happened in March, so yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally had been here for about 2 weeks.
There you go.
I'd been here for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to talk about what? Where? I've been here for 2 weeks.
Right, Hayes Valley, 2019. Yeah, you're right.
So I also suffer a little bit from ownerism, right? Like we talk about draftism, hate sexism, hate racism, but I do suffer a little bit from ownerism. And here's what I mean by that. I tend to think that if you are a white male billionaire in this country, I sort of just assume you're into some stuff. And maybe that's not fair, but I tend to think that in that class of society and what allows people to get to that level, I'm not saying they're all criminals, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that I don't know. I tend to think that there's just a lot of dealings. There's a lot of boardroom dealings. I'm not talking about crimes necessarily, but I don't know. Less of me is maybe shocked about this than it sounds like some other people are. I'm not saying I assumed that Jed was into weird stuff. I don't know. I assume that in that high-class world of access and the thought that I can afford anything and I can get away with anything, it tends to lead people to try to get away with anything. That's been my experience.
I get that.
He's not the only billionaire in the NFL to get caught up in stuff with the opposite sex.
Well, you can.
It's like 20% of the owners.
You could name a bunch of owners who we know have done some stuff that they've been caught up in. I do think that the sensational nature of this is multifold. One of them is the fact that he was looking for something for $140. And so you're a multimillionaire, maybe you're a billionaire, and you're out there going online at 9:30 in the morning and you're looking to pay $140 for companionship. That to me becomes a big part of the story. And if we go back to the Tiger Woods scandal, and yeah, he crashes into a tree and his wife tries to rescue him with a 9-iron. And then we find out, no, it was an affair. No, it was 2 affairs. Oh my God, it was 18 affairs, many of whom were employees of the Waffle House. And so I do think you got, as that thing continued to unfold, I'm not saying that this will, but part of the sensational nature of the Tiger Woods drama was the fact that this guy's worth 100, 400 million or whatever, and he's out there, trying to make it happen on the margins.
We want to talk to you about this, 888-957-9570, on how this lands with you as a 49er fan. And for those of you who might just be joining us, Niners principal owner Jed York has pled no contest to a pair of misdemeanor charges Monday in Ohio, stemming from suspicion of engaging in prostitution. County court records, according to ESPN, allege that York responded to an undercover ad on a known prostitution website and, quote, arranged to have sexual activity with the female in exchange for $140. He has also been sentenced to 2 days in jail. It is considered that one of them has already been taken care of. I think he spent 1 night in jail, so maybe he's got 1 more day of jail. There's a fine of about $1,200 or $1,300. He pleads no contest, and case is considered closed. So that is the news with regard to what has gone on with Jed York over the weekend, and now we go from here. And the statements have been released. The 49ers is like, it's close case. And so no further comment at this time. And the league has predictably said, we're aware, and we'll send this through the personal conduct policy. And if you're a 49er fan, you know where that's heading. He's going to be suspended for a few games and fined, and you don't care because he doesn't play linebacker.
Right. And so I mean, yep. As a 49er fan, you look at this and you say it is a big nothing burger, to use John Lynch's phrase. At the same time, if you are a 49er fan and you look at the organization and you hold them to a certain standard of moral rectitude, you might be a little bit put off by this fact and this news.